Hey, it's me. Right, right after that stream. That sure was a vitriol moment, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, now I want to be real with you. I tweeted this, but it was like, you're not gonna believe me. It was less of a rage quit and more of like, well, I was only gonna do the tower and nothing else after it. I was just gonna end the stream anyway. So ending on a kind of fast, angry moment like that was better than ending on, my awkward ass, thanks for watching, and let's raid, and yeah, it was good, and this is the next stream, you know what I mean. So that's what happened. But I completely forgot about the review because I wanted to kind of give an overview of this game because I said I would do that during the credits, because normally I always give a review during the credits, but this game has such a big post game and I didn't know when I was going to finish and how the post game was going to affect my thoughts on it, since they always advertise like, oh, it's not over. In Busters it's like, oh, it's never finished. So I figured I could go over some stuff. I tried to collect my thoughts, but it's kind of hard. There's so much shit in this game, but I'll try. So I wrote some stuff down. So the story. Basically, with the story, as far as Keita's thing goes, I really like how the yokai shenanigans are like kind of intertwined in alien crackpot theories. I don't know if that's an American stereotype. I'm just gonna assume it is, because Area 51 and all that, especially since like this seems to be placed in the Wild West where that kind of stuff is. So it's kind of funny, like, because the thing, I always say I like Yokai Watch 1 more than Yokai Watch 2, because like Yokai Watch 1 just focuses on what yokai do. They cause problems, they make people feel a certain way depending on what they are. Yokai Watch 2 was like, here's this plot. Then it doesn't, utilize the yokai at all. So this kind of has a plot and utilizes the yokai. So it's not, as kind of aimless and seemingly meaningless as Yokai Watch 1, but not as like exclusionary of what makes Yokai Watch good as Yokai Watch 2. So, as far as like how the story goes, and also I completely forgot to mention Inaho's detective agency is basically kind of the same thing, where someone has a problem. It's basically like the old like Yokai Watch 1 format, but they come to you with problems. So, and I love that in the anime too. It's just a really good kind of thing. As for the final boss, Go Godfather, or the Ghoul Father, I'm just gonna, me and the Japanese names, like I translated them eons ago. I don't know, like, I feel like he kind of comes out of nowhere, but not as out of nowhere as Dame Demona. Like, she literally just came out of nowhere. She had no real bearing on anything. I wish they like expanded on her backstory or whatever. At least, Go Godfather, he's like in the UFO, which is there from the beginning of the game. I don't know if they allude to him, like it being him throughout the game. There's the Executioner who's around all the time, but you don't really know he's the connection, but I don't know. And I just like him better. He's a good character, even if he only shows up until the end. So, yeah, basically, as far as the story goes, and Buck was fine. Like, I hated Buck in the beginning. I grew to kind of like him, I guess. So, I think overall the story is actually, like, it's the plot, I guess you could call it, actually pretty good. Like, all the locales as well are pretty good. Like, the American city is American-y. It's a little smaller than Springdale, but you still have Springdale. You have all the train stuff. So, like, as far as locations go, there are plenty of them, which Yokai Watch 1 lacks, and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's just like, and the story's long, too. Like, there's a lot of stuff to do in the game. We'll get to that a bit more, though. The music, obviously, I think, like, every song in the soundtrack is good and amazing. If you really want to, what's the word? If you really want to draw hairs, that's not a thing. Basically, if you want to be a bitch, you could say like, oh, the whistling isn't that good. What's her name? In the Japanese, it's Angie. Jane's whistling. Oh, it's not a song, One thing I do wish about the music is that they didn't reuse so much. It's fine to reuse it for the, Yokai Watch 2 areas, but, at the same time, I feel like a lot of areas shared a lot of the same songs. I guess even in the Go 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 God Tower, which we're in now, and it's called the Bada Bing Tower, but whatever. Like, this song is only used in the lobby. I kind of picked this because this is a nice kind of review song, but also we didn't hear enough of it. So, the music is amazing, but I wish they kind of made some more. You know what I mean? But it's about, I don't know, I feel like the music list is about on par with the previous Yokai Watch games, so whatever. The Yokai, I mean, they're good. And I don't know, they're not as stereotypy as I would have wished, I guess. Like, there's the bacon, there's the angry driver, there's obviously like pancakes, the burger, there are a lot of American stereotypes, but I don't know, look, I'm kind of like understating them. I do like them, and a lot of their spirits make sense, and as we were reading throughout the series, their names are, I mean, they're good. They're good, but me, I'm like, I love the Japanese names, and a lot of the Japanese names for these yokai are amazing because they use English words and just mixing the languages. I love it. So I don't know which game would have the strongest yokai. When I say strongest, I mean like, the best new yokai. But this game, the American yokai definitely are a good addition. And of course, the whole America setting is just still funny, even if I feel like they didn't, like when I first heard about Yokai Watch 3, and then, I saw the Rongo swirl drum solo thing, I'm like, this game is going to be amazingly quirky. And the writing is still good, and stuff like that, but some of the writing wasn't that good, and it just wasn't as quirky as I was hoping. I mean, it's weird, it's Yokai Watch, but I don't know, it just wasn't as, they didn't do as many amazing things as I was hoping. That's obviously my fault, but still, whatever. As for the battle system, that's like a big thing. It's interesting, basically. It has upsides and downsides. I do really like how, the way you organize your yokai kind of determines how you play. Like, so if you do it horizontally, obviously you're doing combos, you're on a more offensive thing, but of course anyone can get hit. But if you do a vertical line, like I've been doing conga line meta, then you just put the wall in front, and that's pretty much it, except if they hit all yokai. And then I also do like how enemy ultimates, you have to move away from them. I do I don't know, it's a kind of love-hate relationship with the whole oh, I moved my yokai, and then the enemy happens to charge their ultimate, so I have to sit and wait and just get hit kind of thing. I basically just learned maybe approximately 15 minutes ago that if you switch a backline yokai in, you can move them. So it's actually not as bad as I thought, but it's obviously not apparent. And I mean, it's a risk reward kind of thing, basically. You can't always be in conga line meta. Sometimes the enemy has to be able to throw you off, so it's more fair. So I might personally not like it, but objectively, I guess I like it. And of course, it makes enemy ultimates a lot more diverse. And other than that, Fire Wheel guy's ultimate, all of them are fair. The tricky ones that only show the safe spaces until the very end are interesting. Of course, obviously the thing I don't like of wait, also hold on. Like how the enemies have a grid as well, so they can if enemies are standing next to each other, that might change. You'd be like, oh shit, I gotta get them away from each other. And if a healer or whoever you're targeting goes behind a yokai, it's or another yokai, it's oh man, really? So I kind of like that tactic, but the thing I don't like about yokai moving is the ultimates, which I complained about a lot. Basically, the ultimates just don't ultimates just don't work, I think. A lot of attacky ultimates don't work because the enemies just move out of the way. And, unless you have a complementing Sultimate, or, like Otohime have a straight line Sultimate, then, you can't really do anything, and then your Sultimate's useless. And then what does that do? That removes a big integral interacting bit in the Yokai Watch battle system. Like, obviously, when they first made this system of the Yokai battle automatically, the main concern was almost definitely what does the player do then. So they made the Purify mechanic and the Sultimate mechanic, and it worked because obviously, you could charge. It charges. You play the minigame whenever it charges for more damage, stuff like that. But that's not really a thing here. So a lot of the time, you just kind of feel like you're sitting there doing nothing, unless you like min-max your Yokai Sultimates, which just isn't fun because, like I explained earlier, I want to use my favorite characters, not so much the optimal ones. And other than like Unikirin, I guess I would say, Golden Yen, I guess, as well. I don't know. I needed a wall. Golden Yen is like my favorite wall though, because I've used him since the first game. So I don't know, but yeah, basically it just kind of makes that not a possible thing. And it's just kind of, Also, while we're on the topic, I was really hoping that I wasn't really hoping. This is hope in retrospect, which doesn't make any sense. But more mini games to do for Purifying and Sultimates, because I think like for Sultimates, all we got was like the roulette, which is actually like, or the slot machine, which is like the worst one, and like we got rocks and connect the dots and stuff for Purify, but it's really not a whole lot. They really should have added like at least 10 separate for all of them. Like, this is the third game now. Surely we should have a huge list of mini games all, lined up, but it's really lacking. I think that's like all the general stuff. That's all the general stuff I had written down. I was hoping I would figure stuff out. Actually, like locations, I came up with that, but whatever. Let's move to the things I hate. Yeah, Yokai Watch 3 is not perfect, and obviously I was complaining a lot during the playthrough about certain things. Let's go over the most memorable ones now. Number 1, stamina bar. It doesn't need to exist. It's straight up. Why? The only area I can think of it, existing in that's fine is, that's a little too close. I ruined my thing just to show the stamina bar. Whatever. Like the bike races. And even then, during the bike races, they're pretty much decided by the staminums. So, like, and then they have that whole RNG aspect where they're not staminums sometimes. So it's just like, what's even the point there? Like, even in Breath of the Wild, one of the best games of all time apparently, I feel like the stamina bar doesn't need to be around when you're not climbing and not in combat. So like, yeah, but that game actually has a crux around the stamina bar. This game literally doesn't. There's no reason for it at all, ever. Since the first game. None. Absolutely nothing. It's just, it baffles me why it's still in here, and it's probably going to be in Yokai Watch 4, and that makes me so angry. It's just so stupid. Actually, number 1 on the list should have been RNG, but there are plenty of facets of RNG in this game that are irritating. So let's get the number 1 thing out of the way. The crank, I would just remove it. Like, I was talking about doing crankless runs. Like, there's not just a thing in Pokemon. Let's compare Yokai Watch to Pokemon, but like, just bear with me here. In Pokemon, you start from the bottom, you build your way up. You don't get legendaries until like the end of the game, unless you trade, but that's cheating, obviously. In this game, it's just like impossible to not get a team of S-rank yokai like 3 hours in. It's just, and then you kind of steamroll the game. I feel like it would be a lot more interesting if you had to deal with D-rank yokai. You'd kind of get a more personal bond for yokai that are lower rank because you would actually use them. So a lot of yokai that are ranked D, E, even like C, because at least you use B rank yokai in the battle mode, I guess. But a lot of those yokai just get completely shafted for the rank S and A yokai. And while we're on that topic, we're gonna go into this more, but I was really happy to hear that there was a way to make every yokai S rank, but apparently it's like you can only increase a rank 10 times across all your yokai. And it's just like, come on, like there's no reason to be so stingy about it. Absolutely none. It's just like let people use their favorite yokai. Like, I was really hopeful that it would just be, you can make any yokai you want S rank. You know, it might require some grinding or something, but it'd be worth it. It's like, no. First off, it's only in Busters T, which, fuck you. And also, you can only do it 10 times. So, you can't make a team of S rank, low rank yokai that you love. And it's just like, that's not the point. That's not the point of the whole thing. So I don't know, maybe in Yokai Watch 4 they'll fix that. Probably not, since, you know, the stamina bar's still here, but progress, maybe. Progress. It's, you know, the third game they added that ability. Speaking of, you know, befriending low rank yokai and stuff, befriending yokai. And, you know, speaking of level 5 not changing anything, it's still terrible. Like, they have to completely overhaul it. And they have the mechanic right here, you know, the friend mode on the gun, and how you keep shooting them, it raises their friend level. Just do that, but instead of like gunshots, as weird as that sounds, you throw more and more food at them, you know, so there's a time limit on the battle. You have to manage your items well, like, oh, do I heal my ally, or do I give, you know, the yokai I want food to increase the friend rate, I guess. Like, it's just, and then, you know, you can make it 100%. That's all I want. That's it. It's just like, the fact that you have to, you know, like, even the problem is, of course, it's torture on rare yokai. It's literally not fair on, like, yokai that you can only befriend, like, 2 hours into the Hazy Lane or Infinite Tunnel, which is real, by the way. That's not an exaggeration. And that's RNG, and you can only do it once a day. But, even just common yokai, multiple times in the playthrough, they're like, you know, before I got forbidden fruits, which we'll get to, they're like, get a yokai. And then I just kind of had to halt all my progress and go try to find that yokai and then try to befriend them. And finding them is hard enough, let alone befriending them, which is random. So there were times where I was just sitting there for like 15 minutes running around refreshing the same area. I'm like, I'm gonna be losing viewers here. Like, it's not very streamer friendly either, but it's just bad. The befriending mechanic is bad, and Yokai Watch 4 looks like it's overhauling a lot. Maybe they'll overhaul that, but it makes me really sad that this game is still shackled by, yeah, I would say that, you know, I say the stamina wheel's the worst thing about it. You know what, maybe the stamina wheel is the worst thing about this game, though, but the befriending system is really close. Like, that's the thing that always, yeah, the befriending system is the thing that makes me hesitant to recommend the game to people, because I feel like they'll just get frustrated with how stupid it is. And it's why you literally can't recommend the first game to anyone, because it doesn't even tell you the favorite food of yokai. So, just a mess. It's terrible. And, you know, this game, you know, at least with this game, there are the forbidden fruits, and obviously you aren't supposed to be able to get them a lot, you know. You only can get them in, like, Busters legally, but of course there are QR codes, and it would just be insane to not tell people to use those QR codes. Of course, if I do a crankless run, I'm not going to use the QR codes, but it's just, like, why? Like, why? Because, like I keep saying, it feels like the forbidden fruit were added as just an easy workaround for people complaining about the befriending system. And it's great. It makes the game a lot more bearable, but obviously, you know, if the game was unbearable in the first place, maybe you should try to actually fix it, but whatever. Okay, another thing I didn't like at all was switching between Keita and Inaho. Now hold on. It's not the whole switching thing that I didn't like. It was actually pretty funny to switch between, you know, America and Japan was the one you were all used to, and it's nostalgic, and America's the fresh new one. But There were two aspects about switching between these two protagonists that I didn't like. Aspect number one, obviously, the split inventory until chapter 6, which you don't know about. I got that spoiled for me, but it's just like, obviously, you know, you saw me, I'm like, oh, do I scan coins for Inaho? Do I, like, you know, make this, whose team do I make stronger? And it's like, who knows, maybe, like, if they kept it split, then they could have some strategy, but they kind of don't even double down on it. They give you the split inventory, and like I said, I think the game would just be a lot better if the two met in the very beginning of the game, and then shared that inventory, just for simplicity's sake, because, I mean, I don't know if people stressed out about it as much as I did, but I'm like, who do I allot these items to? And, like, obviously I was forgetting who befriended who, so I was wasting time doing that. It's just stupid. Like, I could pick one or the other, because at least if they stuck to their guns and kept it split, then at least you know what rules you're playing by. But, like, waiting until chapter 6 was kind of torturous in a way. And also, this one is actually, like, really stupid, and I hate it. But, the whole, like, you can only accept certain quests as certain characters thing, and also we aren't gonna let you know that that's a thing at all. Like, remember when I was like, oh, I'll talk to the heroes as Keita, or no, it was as Inaho, and then they just kind of gave me a generic line and, you know, basically told me to frig off. Like, if I wasn't reading a guide, and if I didn't have chat to basically be like, no, you can actually befriend them, there's no way I would know that I could actually befriend them there, and I'd think it was somewhere else, and they were just kind of NPCs for flavor text. Like, maybe have an icon on the map, or, you know, the easy solution, just say, like, oh, have you seen Keita around? Well, yeah, they would say, have you seen Nate around? Like, I'd really like to talk to him. And then that gives you that very obvious hint. Like, oh my god, there's no reason for it. And speaking of quests, which was the next thing on the things I dislike list, I mean, I don't have specific examples since it was a while ago, but I do have the feeling that a lot of quests just kind of had you backtrack and stuff. Like, I've been playing Persona 5 recently, right? And you should have seen the moment where, like, the game's like, okay, let's go do this, and I basically expected them to make me walk all the way through the train station, and then they just, like, fast travel me to the place where I need to be to do the next thing for the quest that's actually meaningful, and I'm like, oh my god, the game design. I don't know, maybe that's because I played Yokai Watch 3 first, but the game does not do that, like, ever. You're basically like, okay, let's meet in Dukesville, and then it's up to you to waste the time to, you know, walk over there. You don't have the mirror for the beginning of the game, and you don't have the pocket mirror until, like, the very end of the game, so, you know, it's just kind of very tedious, especially in the beginning. And, I mean, I think the thing that I don't like a lot about the quests is in the post-game. Like, okay, first, to the quest's credit, before I forget to say it, I do like how you could choose which quests you wanted to do. Sometimes it was just kind of like, well, you only get to choose which ones you do first. You still have to do all of them, but just the thing of choice was fun, basically. Even though some people were like, oh, it's key quest time, and I was kind of like that too. It's, you know, it's like you still gotta do them, it's still story. It's better than them just railroading it, I guess, right? So, I do like that about quests, but what I don't like about quests in post-game is that, you know, you saw it, they don't tell you anything. Literally nothing. Like, there's no hint, and I already said, like, if you hover over an empty quest that's a question mark, it should tell you a hint of how to get it. So, like, it doesn't do that at all. You basically need to look at a guide for most of them. Because, like, you know, obviously you can get some of them from just talking to Wep here, which is fine. But for Keita, you're fucked. And then remember the magazine quests? You have to find the magazine person, which is unmarked, and then that tells you nothing. Literally nothing on how to start the next quest. You think the magazine cover and title would be a hint, but no. So you have to find another completely unmarked NPC halfway across the map or something to even start the quest. And then, of course, like the mushroom one, then you just have to randomly stumble into things, or like the Nyanzi's 2 quest where you just have to randomly stumble into things, and then of course there's the infamous photo guy quest, but he kind of tells you where they are, and it's a funny, ridiculous quest. I don't really hate that one. But the other ones just seem really badly designed, and of course if you watch the stream you already know which ones. And then of course they're the ones that only unlock if you play Buster's Tea. Hey, look at that. A great transition into one thing I really hate about this game. The exclusivity, like all the good shit is locked behind Buster's Tea. Like, obviously you can only do certain quests if you finish Buster's Tea, so, you know, if you don't like it, then too bad, you can't do them. But also, a way to level up your yokai. There's nothing in this game. Like, at least in Yokai Watch 2, you could refight Dame Demona or whatever, and that gave you more XP, I'm pretty sure. It was a lot less tedious because in this game, the grid makes it very auto-battle not friendly. So, at least in that game, you could just kind of auto-battle Dame Demona once you got enough, or a strong enough team, and then it's like, whatever, hey, look, levels. But in this game, if you want levels, you're either gonna have to like use the Crank-a-kai over a million years like I kinda did for Otohime, or do Busters, and then first you have to find the, what's it called, an artifact or whatever that levels your yokai up, and then, you know, grind the quest for it. And it's just like, it levels up your yokai a lot. I think it's like level 1 to level 77 on the first go, and then like you only need 2 more from there to get to level 99. So it's a really good item, it's just it's locked behind a game mode. Basically, this is why I don't like the Buster's Tea thing. It's a game mode that's entirely different than the actual game you've been playing. So let's say you don't like the gameplay of Yokai Watch Busters, or you just want to keep playing with the grid, you know, like the actual battle system. There's no alternative. You can only do it by playing that. And I'm just like, it's just like, you know? It's just, and that's everything. Like, if you want to grind money, Buster's Tea. If you want to, obviously, level up your yokai, Buster's Tea. If you want to get certain really high rank yokai, Buster's Tea is the only way to do it. If you want to get certain quests, Buster's Tea. There's so much stuff locked behind it, and it's just, you know. And not to mention, it's kind of confusing. I didn't give it a real shot, and I know I said I was gonna play Buster's Tea in the finale stream, but it's just, it's not necessary. That game's funner with friends. That whole thing. And I don't have any, well, I mean, obviously Pretzel and probably Selena would be fine with doing it, but like, you know, just friends to talk to, you know. It's just like a nice buddy game, I guess. That makes you sound like a dick to those two, though, but, you know. But my friends who play Yokai Watch just hate it, and otherwise are like kind of distant, you know? It's just not fair, and it's not really fun to play solo, and sometimes you just can't use the yokai you like because it's not optimal. So I had, you know, I'll use Recuperate and Originian, and just like you can't even use the yokai you like, unlike the main game where, you know, you might need a wall and a healer, but there are plenty of those to go around. So, not to shit on Buster's Tea, because I'm almost certain it's not unfun, you know, and obviously plenty of people love it, and I haven't played enough of it to actually have an opinion on it, but I do think it's fair to not like how there's no alternative. Make it easier if you, like, to get these items if you play Buster's Tea, sure, but, like, at least put them in the main game too, at all, which they didn't. And, you know, obviously, like, there's a soul that revives your teammates. It's just like, it's apparently Buster's Tea exclusive. I'm just like, oh my god. And then, you know, the exclusive Indiana Jaws. You can get Nyanzi's in, like, Chapter 6. If you have tempura. But, if you have sushi, then you're kind of out of luck for your exclusive. And did that sound forced? Because it was kind of forced. Basically, I want to go into the next thing I don't like about this game. The exclusives, despite this being the third version of the game, like, I don't know, dude. Like, obviously, for the American version, it's a very American. Sorry, that's very American-centric of me, isn't it? For the international version of the game, they obviously didn't really have faith in it. So they, like, if they sold 2 copies of the game, then like that would just kind of split sales and just kind of not look good, I guess, or something. I don't know. Basically, it was a very good idea. I was really hyped for the idea of, oh, we just get the Pokemon Emerald of Yokai Watch 3. That's what I call these games, really. But no, it turns out there are still exclusives. And I'm assuming that's the same in the Japanese version. So, you know, imagine you get sushi and tempura in the Japanese version or whatever, sushi or tempura, and then you get the other game, and then let's say you got sushi, and then you just choose the sushi thing in this game for some reason. And it's like, oh, well, you're fucked. It's just like, there's no reason. It's the 3rd version of the game. You don't need exclusives. In fact, you would have more content if you didn't make things exclusive, because it would have more things to do. More yokai to befriend, more quests to do. It's just, it baffles me. It's very frustrating how, like, you'd have to make a second file, and then even then you need someone to trade it over with. It's just, why? It's like, you know, some people will probably disagree with me on this because exclusives are kind of fun. I could see it, but it's basically, I felt kind of like I was baited into thinking it was not, there weren't exclusives. And then of course the fact that it's exclusive and they don't tell you that, they kind of just hide it under these kind of quizzes that I kind of guessed were important, but I didn't know how. Like, they hide content behind that, so if you don't know, then you're like, oh well, like the cat. I was told you could get the cat, and then turns out it was an exclusive. Thank God someone told me, otherwise I would, you know, spend 30 minutes trying to figure this shit out. But just imagine that for like every other exclusive in the game. It's like, you shouldn't have to have the internet to figure these things out, right? Especially since, you know, like I always say, internationally, the game just isn't that well documented. Like, I never went back and filled in those quest tutorials, which I feel like I should do. But the fact that I even have to at all this late into the game is, like, obviously showing, because there are people who love this series and this game a lot more than I do who haven't done it. And, you know what I mean? So what else is there? Because that was the end of my list. I think the gun is a really fun addition. Kind of breaks the game a lot of time, but that's fun. Characters. How can I forget the characters? The characters are good. I really like how Steve Jaws is like a main character. That's amazing. Inaho is, I don't want to use the word cringy, but I will. A bit cringy at times. Like, I was like, ooh, you know, just kind of stayed silent for some of those lines, but you know, Jibanyan had like no lines in this game. At least Whisper had plenty of lines, and Usapion was interesting. But yeah, I don't know if I want to give the takeaway now. What else do we got? Great. Kainet was kind of useless. I don't know, they give you a bunch of stuff, like the wanted yokai, the treasure hunts, yokai circles. The build in the end is actually really funny. That's like them embracing the fact they know. Like, they already know that there's so many nyans, so just make your own. And it's perfect for like kids who love this game. Man, I don't know, I think that might be it. I mean, I've been talking for 34 minutes apparently. So here's my verdict. Yokai Watch 3. What do I think about it overall? You might not like this, but I would say it's more on the negative side. Basically, okay, so why? The game is charming. The game has a lot of work put into it. The music is amazing. The yokai are amazing. I already explained, like, the story's good. I already explained all the good stuff. But it doesn't really help with the fact that it feels like level 5 is working against you very intentionally for a lot of the game, and that's just too frustrating to ignore. Like the stamina, like all the shit I complained about. It's like, you know, the befriending system. Like, it's very obvious that it's just poorly designed, and here's the thing. It feels like a lot of the decisions in this game were made to kind of force the player to play for longer. It just feels exploitative. Like, you know, you can only do this once a day. Like the whole D-Rex quest. Like, obviously I would have probably stopped a week ago from now, but I kept booting up the game every day. But what I don't get is that it doesn't make any sense, because it's not a game that asks you to pay real money and get addictive like a mobile game, which they have mobile games for that. It's like, it's a normal video game. I guess it's fair to want people to put, how many hours? I can't save in the diary. But I've probably put a good amount of hours. We're gonna have to subtract this time. But, let me see. Yeah, I put nearly 100 hours into this game. And a lot of it wasn't a waste of time, per se. Like, it wasn't standing doing nothing and idling. Like, I would consider, like, grinding for Snarl kind of to be something like that. It's a hefty game, but I feel like a lot of the time it's for the wrong reasons. Like backtracking and, you know, you can't warp here, and you have to go all the way here to do this, and we're gonna add 50 daily things for you to do, so you spend an hour every day doing all these daily things before you get on with what you want to actually do. Like, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's the thing. It just feels like it's exploitative, and that bothers me a lot, on top of the fact that it's frustrating just to do. Like, even if I didn't think that, it's still frustrating to fly all the way down to Hopper's Gorge just to be told you get nothing, or, oh, you can't get brutal unless this very RNG heavy thing happens. Or, like, obviously the quests, you know. They expect you to run around and find these quests instead of just telling you. It's just... That's why I really... this game just gives me a bad kind of vibe. It's like, I would say it's... Like I said, it's a well-made game, but at the same time, it still has flaws that the series has had for a while. That makes me just kind of be like... Basically, I don't know. I still like this series. Obviously, if I didn't like the series, I wouldn't be playing up to here. I wouldn't be like, well, I'll try Yokai Watch 4, maybe even in Japanese. But, I don't know, man. I worry about this series. Like, do you see that new movie about the human yokai, and just some, I think there's like some more Enma shit on the way that just isn't in the spirit of Yokai Watch. I feel like Yokai Watch is about the yokai, and what do yokai do? They inspire people and make them feel a certain way. So here's my message. Basically, I always recommend, if people want to get into Yokai Watch, they don't really play the games. A lot for the reasons I just explained, for the entire things I dislike and final verdict things. It's frustrating. I feel like if I recommend this game to someone, they're going to be like, why'd you recommend this to me? It's annoying. But you know what isn't annoying? I feel like the anime. The anime, it's easy to watch. It's like, doesn't have any annoying mechanics, obviously. And it has my favorite thing. It focuses on the yokai and what the yokai do. And then, you know, gives some yokai backstories. It has kind of a puzzle thing where it's like, oh, what does Keita summon to get rid of this yokai? Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it's completely weird, but that's funny. You know, the anime is just the perfect, and not Shadow Side. No, not Shadow Side, and not any movie after 3. Basically, that's not. I would say that's not in the spirit of those aren't in the spirit of Yokai Watch. The Yokai Watch 2 movie is fine because it's well made, but yeah, I would recommend just watching the anime. I know what you're thinking. It's 214 episodes. That's like recommending me to watch One Piece, but like, you know, it starts kind of slow too. So I always worry people will kind of give up. But trust me, it's worth it. It does get kind of samey, but it has so much personality. It's so funny all the time. It really like gets you to appreciate basically every yokai in a way, because they all have a different personality and they're all given a spotlight. Well, not all of them obviously, but a really big amount of them, especially like the rank E and D yokai that you never really use because the Crank-Yokai exists in the games. It gives them a spotlight. It's just, I really love the anime, and I forget if I already said this, but I haven't watched the dub, which is the English version, but I'd probably just recommend watching the sub because it's so well done. There are a lot of Japanese stuff. Obviously, this game is very Japanese inspired, and I think the voices are just in general are better. And what else? What was I gonna say about the sub? Oh yeah, it's not out of order. Episodes aren't cut or censored. There are a lot of episodes like that, you know? It's weird how they just kind of jumbled it all together. Like, even like a lot of Yokai Watch fans who follow it are like, why did they do that? The sub is just straightforward. It all makes sense in chronological order. The voices are better. The translators they do a really good job. You get the Japanese name of the yokai, so if you want to know what that is, you can do what I did this playthrough and just kind of look it up on the wiki just to see what all the names mean. And sometimes it's really obvious because in the Japanese version, it's like, what's the name of the apple? The archer apple, his name is Acha, so like, you know, archer, that's what it sounds like. And then all throughout the episode, whenever they miss, they go, Acha! So at that point, you kind of understand without even looking on the wiki. There's some yokai like that. Basically, it just turned into me gushing about the anime, but I seriously like the anime. It might get repetitive at times, and you know, there might be some segments you might not like the Dark Yokai Watch, and I didn't really like, you know, whatever that conspiracy theory dude is, if you know what I'm talking about. There's some segments you might not like, but they're short, which kind of makes the good segments kind of sad that they're over. But, and then there are consistent things. Keita's, like, everyone's a great character. Why do you think Whisper's my favorite? Because in the anime, he's fucking funny and amazing. Jibanyan's even likable. It's just like, everyone has a personality. I love it. So, yeah, I don't know if, I mean, at this point, you probably like the games, or, you know, are invested in them enough to still play them. But if not, and you're looking into Yokai Watch, I always will recommend the anime first, because there's no risk of it being frustrating, and it just captures the spirit of Yokai Watch more. So I think I'm done with this. I think I got a lot of the good thing, or a lot of the big points about this game out of the way. And obviously, if I didn't, I probably touched on them in the stream playthrough, which was like 100 hours. So yeah. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really mention, like, Yokai Watch 3 has a pretty big post game, but like I also said, a lot of the post game is annoying. So leave it or take it, I guess. There's no saying if it's good or bad. I didn't even do a multiplayer battle either, but whatever. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks to Pretzel for, like, that's the thing. Pretzel also helped me out a lot during this stream, which, you know, thank you a lot, but also at the same time might have made some things seem not as bad as they actually are. But I know how bad it was getting D-Rex, don't you worry. But yeah, I think that's it. So now I get to save the awkward ending for now instead of at the end of the last stream. And I might just upload this as its own separate video, because why not? So thank you for coming out and watching Yokai Watch 3, the whole stream series. Even if there were points that I didn't really like, I think it was still like a good stream, you know, a good stream series. And a lot of people actually watched it. That's why I wanted to do a finale instead of just dropping it, because I feel like you gotta owe you owe these people that, right? Like, they stuck around. I don't know if they'll stick around for anything after Yokai Watch 3, but if they do, well, if you do, thanks. But if not, no problem. I'm still gonna be playing games. So that's good to get Yokai Watch 3 wrapped up. since 100 hours is a long time. So, okay, I'm done. Thank you for listening to me ramble about this game forever. And, who knows, might see you for Yokai Watch 4. But yeah. Final verdict? I don't know. If I had to give it a number score, if 5 is the center, I guess it would be 4, right? And then some people were like, oh, that's really bad. But seriously, 5 is like, you know, take it or leave it. It's not good, it's not bad. So 4 is just below that, kind of bad. That's what I would say. Sorry, Yokai Watch 3. It has a lot of work put into it, but it's done now. There's no way they're changing a lot of this stuff anyway, so. Oh well. Okay, I'm done for real. Stop recording, just do it.